Another week. Welcome back to my sports world. It was an eventful weekend. Game on Saturday. Well, multiple games on Saturday. Multiple games on Sunday. Just the way I like it, and it's building up really, really good now. Let's start on Saturday. What really happened? It was Manchester United against Everton. A very important game because both teams are up there among top six. Um, and there was some results that went our way, like a draw between Liverpool and Manchester City, where I want to say Liverpool were extremely lucky, and they didn't play very well either. So they were extremely lucky to get a draw from that Manchester City game. Chelsea won. Well, I expected that, but they kind of hit their head on against the wall too against Southampton, which proves that Southampton is really good against better teams. They kind of like up their ante in a way when they play better teams. Because they've done really good against us, they've done really good against Manchester City, and now they did, even though they lost against Chelsea, they did good for a long period of time. And it looked like they were going to nick a draw there too. And then it just, the bubble burst, and Chelsea got a few goals really, really, really fast. So, looking at the Manchester United Everton game, I think we played okay. It wasn't like a star buster, performance. It wasn't like a blistering performance of any kind, but this was like it looks like we are in a kind of like in a swamp right now, but it looks like for each game if we take a step further out of the swamp, I think this game playing wise was better than the West Ham game in the Carabao Cup. I think it was better than the I think it was also better than the game that we lost to Young Boys. I think this was better. So it's absolutely something we can improve on. I saw that there are certain players that are moving forward, and then again, this was a game. If you look at it, really with an analytic eye, we can go back to last season when Harry Maguire got injured. We kind of struggled a little bit then. And in the games we have struggled, we haven't had our best 11, to say it like that. Harry Maguire's been out for the last two games. Aaron Wan-Bissaka was got the red card against Young Boys. We had to play 10 men on an artificial turf away from home. And we had a personal mistake that kind of burnt us. A lot of the bad results we have gained and had this year is because of personal faults and personal mistakes. Young Boys, Lingard, wrong pass back to De Gea. Everton now this weekend, Fred not being resolute enough, not being strong enough, not being determined enough to get that ball cleared or under control. So it's a little bit concentrated. It goes on players' concentration. For those of you who are screaming Ole out, just cut it out right away. This is not Ole's fault. Fred could have been more aware players were, where the ball was, what he had to do, but he wasn't. He did a mistake, and he kind of do these mistakes all along. Every now and then, not every game, but he had one against Wolverhampton that was really bad, and then this one, the one against Wolverhampton, did not materialize into a goal. So every now and then, you can see Fred doing weird stuff that goes to make you scratch your head. And do I think Fred is good enough to play on the midfield? No, I don't. But if you look at it, who do we have? If there's one area we lack quality players, it's in the midfield. We have either Mata, Matic, McTominay, Fred, or Van de Beek. Those are the midfield players that we have that we can use. And let me tell you, for those of you who are screaming, oh, let's use Van de Beek. if you have seen Van de Beek in the games he has started and the games he has come in as a sub, he's not that great. His his concentration on the ball in the game is poor. His passing is up and down and is kind of lacking a lot. He's also like he's just a younger Fred. That's what he and Fred is very very similar in many ways. That they don't have ball control. That maybe Van de Beek is maybe stronger in his body and can maybe take a challenge better, but when it comes to ball possession and ball control and ball passing, Van de Beek is not that great. He's not that great. I have seen him. I pay attention to him, and when you saw him in the Young Boys game, he had so many passes that was off cue and just off, and when he received the ball, he often have to take one or two more touches than he really need to. His ball control is not that great, especially under pressure. And as a midfield player, you will always be under pressure. So it's sad to say it, but right now maybe the McTominay and Matic are maybe our two best ones technically, and when it comes to like body strength and taking challenges. But then again, McTominay is not a great player either. He's okay, average player. Matic is better than average, but he's so slow now these days. So if you meet or you play a team with quick, fast midfielders, you can't play Matic. He's gonna be lagging behind. So then you ask yourself, what do I want? Do I want someone that can run, or a little bit sloppy on the ball, or do I want someone that is a little bit more safe on the ball but can't really run that great? So you might say, well, the recruitment is on Ole. Yeah, it's on Ole, but Ole felt that he had a good enough midfield to get him through a couple of years. And he wanted to solidify the attack and the defense first. And rightfully so, because the defense before Ole took over was not that great. The attack was on and off, very, very on and off. So he started with the defense. He wanted to patch the holes in the back. He started with defense when he bought Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Maguire. And that was the right thing to do. You have to stop people from scoring on you. Then he addressed the forwards and the strikers and the attack, which is also right. You have to plug the hole in the back and you have to add solutions to the front so you can score more goals. He saw that he had a lot of bodies on the midfield. He started to cut back, getting rid of a lot of deadwood back in the back four and the midfield and up on front. And it's slowly been building, adding like Sancho and Cavani and Ronaldo, stuff like that is essential to what has been going on in Iran, of course, Telles. So it's been a good build. Now we have January this year. We maybe have to go out and look for a midfielder. Maybe if not in January, we have to look for one at the summer, at least in the summertime. We need a good midfielder, and we need another striker because Cavani is leaving in the summertime. So if we can get Haaland and Rice, for instance, maybe Rice. If we can get Haaland and Rice, that would be an awesome addition to the team. So this I've seen like this all out shit going on, and fan channels on YouTube are like, oh man, the game that ended in a draw 1-1 against Everton. Both teams are top 5, top 6. It's not a bad result in itself. But isolated, you look at it isolated, you could say like, oh, we should have won. Yeah, we should have won. A personal mistake from Fred gave Everton a goal. The only thing that I want to see from going forward is that players are more focused and more, concentrated on their task. I think a lot of players are doing stupid mistakes that they really don't need to do. And I in the next game I want to see Matic play instead of Fred. That's a typical Matic game. And I want to see this. The only thing that I can really say that I didn't agree with Ole on this game was when he uh, put Cavani in and not starting Ronaldo, and then taking Cavani off and putting Ronaldo on. If you want to give your team the best chance of scoring goals, Greenwood is too young, too inconsistent. He's good in some games and then he disappears in other games, and then he's like kind of like average in a different game. You have to play Ronaldo and Cavani on top together, and include Greenwood. Do a 4-3-3 if you want to or whatever, but play Cavani and Ronaldo at the same time. If you want to need goals, that's what you have to do. So that's the only negative thing that I have to really critique on when it comes to Ole. What I really want to critique is the players need to go into themselves and say, what am I doing? What am I contributing to this team in this game? By Fred has to sit down with him and have a serious, deep conversation with himself, saying like, what did I do and what can I do better? He's not strong in challenges and tackles. He's very often overpowered. He's very often outsmarted. So if he can't do that, then he just needs to say, you know what, I'm not good enough for this level. He is, in my mind, Fred is a squad player. He's a sub that you put on when there's 10-15 minutes left to go in games that are like not on the line. If you know you have a secured win, that's when you put Fred on to take the pressure off or take off some of the exhaustment of other players. But he's not a starting quality player. But I understand why he is starting, because we basically don't have anyone better. That's the problem. We don't have a midfield that is better than what we already have. So you can scream about subs and using other players all day long. Matic is rarely going to last 90 minutes. Pogba already has his assignment on one side. Bruno has his assignment in the midfield. So you have two spots that needs to be covered. And right now, it looks like that those two spots are either Matic, Fred, McTominay, or Van de Beek. And I want to say that all four of them are not. That all four of them has faults, and all four of them have, positive things. McTominay's strength and positivity is when you go more offensive to works, when he can be up and around the opponent's 18-yard box. But with Pogba and Bruno and Cavani and Greenwood and Ronaldo up there, he doesn't often get to go up there. So he's staying more down in the midfield and on the defensive side of things, which is not his strength. Absolutely not. But when it comes to Fred, I don't know. He has the condition. He can run and run for 90 minutes. So he has the condition. He has the tenacity. He has the will. He just doesn't have the strength to do challenges really good or anything like that in the tackles. So that becomes a liability. And Matic can't last 90 minutes. Mata I don't see lasting 90 minutes, and he's too slow as well. So that's the problem. Our midfield is too slow, and Mata is more like a Bruno in a way. So he's more like a sub for Bruno. It is not that bad if you look at it. Like people are screaming about, we are doing okay in Champions League. We have 3 points, 1 win. We're probably going to win more games at home. We're probably going to be one of the 2 teams from the group that goes through. We are top 4 in the Premier League, same amount of points as Manchester City and Liverpool. I think Liverpool has 1 more. We have the same amount as Everton and Manchester City. And then we have the same amount, not the same amount. We have 1 point behind Liverpool. I think they are at 2 points behind them, 1 or 2 points behind them, and then Chelsea is like 2 or 3 points behind in front of us. So it's very tight up there. So why we are in the loop for the title, Every team goes through a rough patch here and there. Next month, after this international break, who knows? Maybe we go on a 10 game winning streak. What are you going to say then? Ollie out? Oh, yeah. Yeah, because, a month, 2 months ago, he had a bad spell of 3 or 4 games. Every manager goes through a bad spell. Every manager and every team wins a game, draw a game, loses a game here and there. It's natural, it's normal, it's totally football. If you can't, as a fan, if you can't accept that the team is losing every now and then you're not a real fan. You are a fan that only supports the team when it wins, and you only have something good to say when it wins. Um, if you can't support the team when we're down in a little bit of a dry spot, like we have been for the last 3 weeks, then what point is it for the club to have you around as a fan? Absolutely nothing. That doesn't mean you can't be critical. That doesn't mean you can't have your opinion. But when you go out for an extended period of time and all you do is bash, 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 negative, 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 then it becomes so unbalanced and so out of place that it really doesn't do any good. Because the Everton game was not all bad. It's not all bad. There was some good stuff in there too. And if you can't see that, and if you can't enjoy that and embrace that, then I don't know what you're doing. We got a point from the game, the same amount of points that Manchester City and Liverpool got over the weekend. Then you might say, well, they played each other. Okay, I don't care who they played. Manchester United have played draw against other teams this season already. Already lost a game too in this season. Liverpool has already played the draw against Chelsea. Chelsea has played a draw. Chelsea has been struggling. Not all teams. I find it very that not all teams have this double standard like Manchester United have. Manchester United is a club with a lot of fans, that calls themselves fans, but that has this double standard and this agenda and this narrative, and is not what a real fan has or should do. So I'm sure we'll come back and we will get back on top of things. The next game is going to be very important. We have an international break now, so it's going to be 2 or 3 weeks before we're back. So we just have to wait and see. Until next time, take care.